Hello there, members. It's Mike Bell here from the Armchair Club. So we're just going to do a weekly watch list video for the week commencing the 19th of March 2018. Obviously, for any of you new members, welcome if it's your first time on our weekly watch list. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dissecting the week ahead and looking at potential entry points and also the key levels to look out for. Before we obviously enter some of these pairs on either long or short. So in this week, following last week's activity, we've definitely got our eyes on some pound weakness, and also we've also got our eyes on some Canadian strength as well. So what I'll do is I'll start off with the USD CAD. So again, we've been monitoring this pair for years. If you take a look, I'm actually currently on a daily chart right now. I'll just delete this fib level, but what we've got is we've got zones highlight. So if I zoom out on my chart, I'm on TradingView right now, and I'm zooming out, so each single candle on this chart represents the 1 day. So I'm zooming all the way out, and we're zooming out to back to 2009. So if we highlight this level right here, this key reversal level from back in 2009, we can actually see we've got 1.30, so a major level where price obviously rose up in 2009, got rejected over a few months in 2008, then eventually tumbled in 2009, sending price from 1.29 all the way under $1 versus the Canadian dollar. So we've got a cup and handle situation forming right here, and now what we're expected to see is another handle. So what I expect for price is further downside, and then for us to obviously shoot back up to 1.45, but I think for the near term what we're going to be looking at is this trend line that's actually forming. So we spiked up to a psychological level around the 1.50 level and then got rejected. Then you can actually see here that we printed a lower high off the most recent trend on this pair. So I'll just highlight this. So we've got our high. Hello. Got a lower high here. Smaller. And printed a lower low. So what we're going to be looking for, I've put on the two different trend lines on here, even though we're on a daily chart. I've put on two trend lines. The trend line in the red, which obviously highlights resistance, and then we've also got the trend line in the green, which highlights support. So we're coming up to a very key level right now of resistance, because we're currently at, or we're heading toward, this particular trend line. However, what we've got is we're also sitting at that key level that I mentioned from 2009, so we're at that 1.30 level, and you can actually see that's been a previous level of support. Price has floated around this range, again floated around the range before spiking through. So we can either do two things. We can either melt down on the open and then continue lower to print that lower high that we're obviously expecting, or what we will do is we'll break a little bit further to the upside and tap into this region right here. Now I've highlighted this region since I think it was July 2017 when we had the interest rate hike by the Canadians, and prices absolutely plummeted all the way down to the 1.20 level. But if I draw this on the fib tool, from this previous high at 1.38. So we've got a potential ABCD pattern forming right here. So we're doing all of these different confluences together to determine where price is going to go next, and then we'll obviously decide if our theory is going to be strong enough for us to actually enter into a position right now. So I'll just delete a few of these other trend lines just to keep the chart very, very simple and clean for everybody to see. But we're sat here right on the daily, so we've got using our fib a potential ABCD pattern forming. So we went from our high to our low, A to B, and then what we can see is we're actually at the this resistance level here. We actually targeted the 61.8 fibs. So on the open of the market, we could see a spike up to 1.3130. We need to see how price reacts around that. If price reverses at 1.130 and then comes under this level, that will give us confirmation that we've actually reversed and we're heading back south. Or what I'm more favouring is a further spike up into this region right here. So just in between the 61.8 fib and the 78.6 Fibonacci level right there, to give us our C leg before deciding where our extension target's going to be. And this will actually fit in quite nicely because this will actually give us a solid lower high and our preferred C leg right now as well. So if I just write on ABC with targets of 1.16, so this is going to be a potential good long-term trade. Definitely would advise you guys to obviously put a very small lot size on this one and then just let this run in the background. It should be a nice earner if this comes out towards the middle or towards the back end of the year as well. So what we're going to be targeting for my bias on USD CAD is I'm favouring that price is going to obviously head up. We're going to be looking at potentially 1.3286 around this level right here, and then we're looking to obviously sell USD CAD. So it's up to you guys what you want to do for the start of the week. If you want to obviously buy up, for me, I'm watching to see around this 1.130 level. If we break that, then I'll definitely take a further buy up to this resistance line and this key level, and in between the 61 and 78.6 fib before executing a sell towards the back end of the week. And again, you can actually have quite a tight stop loss if we catch a decent entry on this high right here. And this should take us all the way down to our level. So you're looking at 1600 pips on it. So this is a fantastic risk reward opportunity. So if I zoom out this chart, this is what the trade's going to hopefully look like. We've got confirmation of our A, B, C, D. Hoping that we're going to get a lower high printed over here, and then obviously confirmed the D target should be the new lower low. This again ties in with the US dollar weakness that we've been preaching for God knows how long now, but that's what we're looking for in the long term for USD CAD. So no, I'm on a daily time frame right now, but what I'm going to be looking at is I'm going to go down to the 4 hour and then the 1 hour, so then we can really see what's going on. So looking at the 4 hour time frame, you can actually see here that we've been respecting our moving averages. So we've got our MAs here acting as a level of support. So every time price comes to this moving average, it spikes up, moving average, spikes up, moving average, spikes up. And then again, what I'm hoping for is that final pullback down to this level, spike up to our target zone, and then we can confirm and exhaust around the 1.328 level right here. Plenty of high impact data going on next week, plenty of news happening, so what we should see is going to be price just continue to rise for the short term before finally plummeting. And what we've got here is you've got this support line, which has been well and truly respected since the start of February. So since the start of February, we've jumped, we've jumped 800 points. So we are due to get an exhaustion and a reversal for this particular pair. So we should see bounce down. So we should rise up, bounce down to the moving average, see another push up. We're going to be looking at this 1.130 level. Again, that's what I'm expecting. Around this 1.130 level, we should see some shorts. So if we can all obviously take a look to see if we can execute a sell around that level, but we need to see how price reacts and then target the moving average. So we're either going to be targeting probably 1.2950 and then a final push back up to the 1.3280 level and hopefully execute this long term trade right there at our preferred C leg for USD CAD. That's how the trade's going to be looking. Again, we've got our key levels highlighted, so then once we've executed the trade, we should simply use our key levels that are highlighted in the red as our horizontal rays. So I'll just wag one of them around. So these levels right here, these are going to be our target levels. So once, if we break above our target levels and do a retest, then we'll execute further entries to ride this wave all the way down. So we've got our key levels already written up on here. We've got key levels of 1.3280, 1.30, 1.2750, and then finally 1.24 to hopefully take this trade all the way back down to 1.16 for USD CAD. The next one is going to be GBP CAD. So I know that last week we obviously spoke on this particular pair. The setup is very similar again for GBP CAD as it is to USD CAD as well. That's just simply because US dollar has such a massive impact and such an influence on all the different currencies across the world. So looking at the dollar index is very, very important. Again, what we should see for GBP CAD is a nice pullback, but we need to see price exhaust first. So we lost a few pips. Again, it was only a very small trade that we did, but on a daily time frame, on a daily time frame, what we've got is we can see here that price is looking like from the open we should see it reverse and get back down to this moving average. So there's two things that we need to obviously look for. We're going to look to sell GBP CAD down to this moving average of 1.78 or 1.79, and then see how price reacts there before taking it down to this trend line. But for me, I'm still bullish for the pound. So my short-term target's really going to be sat around this level before seeing further upside for the pound. But I think there's going to be further upside later on in the year. So it would be quite interesting to see if we see a move where we get a pullback, some sideways movement, and some consolidation before exhausting further down to the key trend line and then pushing back up to new highs as well. We've been extremely bullish for the British pound, so again I've been calling this one ever since Brexit. We've literally bounced back. We're at some nice key levels. The 1.40 level is a strong level for the British pound. So if we can close above that, we're heading to 1.50, and then I expect that we're going to see some serious dollar strength, so we should pull it all the way back down as well. But for the near term, that's what we're looking for GBP card. Again, we put this in the watch list, our entries. We've put this in the full member zone. Trade looks like this again. We got caught out very slightly. This trade's still valid. It's still actually live. The stop loss was put at 1.380, and we went to 1.8295 on 292 on Friday's close, and then came back down to this 1.8250 key level. So for me, it'd be great to see if we can just float around the 1.8250, so then there's no nonsense. Then we can just literally ride this down to the 1.76 as targeted as well, with our ultimate target being the moving average. So there, that's where we're looking for GBP card. Going into the US dollar JPY, the US dollar Japanese yen. Again, we pinpointed this pair last week in our watch list, and what we were looking for is very simple. This was quite simple. We had a high, low, lower, high, lower, low. We expected the lower low, which we obviously got, and we said that we were targeting support. Now, we spiked into our support region right here, so you can actually see that we spiked into 105.50 into last week. Now, I'm actually expecting, for the fact that we had an aggressive spike up, and we actually closed above our moving average here on the daily time frame, what we should get is some actual upside for the Japanese yen. So I think for the near term, what we'll be looking for is we'll be looking to retest somewhere within this zone, come back down. We might see 105.80. Maybe 2 seconds. No, 105. Yeah, 105.80. So only 20 pips before really accelerating. The dollar strength. We should see some strength towards the middle or back end of this week. So I do expect some consolidation around this range towards Monday, Tuesday. And then we should see price head up. And my ultimate target for this is going to be 1.08. Again, this ties in with the GBP USD heading back down to 1.36. We are going to see some dollar strength, so there is going to be some pullbacks across the pairs as the dollar decides to fight back as well. But for me, it's just going to be a case that we're going to float around here, and then we're going to see some upside. So again, we've got some solid entry potentials for this week actually, where all of our pairs are actually sitting at some crucial key support or resistance levels as well. So we'll be looking at long positions at 105.80, but we need to see a strong bullish push, because what we've actually got here is, on the flip side, we've broken through that trend line. We've created a new level of support around this level, so what we should see is prices dance around this level first, but we need to see a strong bullish push before it warrants us to actually take an entry on this particular pair. Again, on a short-term bias, we've got a higher high being created from this previous high, so we've got, again, the bias is high, high, low. We've created higher highs, and we've got a higher low here, so we could see some continuation up to 1008, or at least back to this key level 107.40 as well. But for me, what we need to see is price float around towards the start of the week, and then hopefully we should just get a nice reversal. Our stop loss is going to be below last week's low, so just below 105.55 for our stop loss. Or if you wanted to be a bit more conservative for this pair, 105.40. definitely warrants an entry on any form of pullback that we see, and then we should be targeting 10740. So a nice 160 pip target for USD JPY going into next week, and then finally on our watch list, GBP USD. So as mentioned, GBP USD, we are going to see some pullbacks. There is some high impact data going on for the pound on Monday, Tuesday, so we're definitely going to see some action for this. We did get a nice push up. Again, this ties in with our buys for GBP CAD. Again, we are going to see some weakness for the pound, but if you actually look here, we're failing to close above this 1.4 region. As mentioned, that 1.40 region is a very key region for the British pound, because that's a handle after Brexit. As soon as we fell down past 1.40, we plummeted all the way down to 1.19 for the lows. So we sat out this handle, and I think we need a pullback before we can truly break above 1.40 and finally sit there. So we've been floating for the past 3 months around this sort of level, but what I expect is we're going to be seeing 1.366, which was our last year's previous high. But for me, we're at a crucial point. Price is consolidating. We've closed just above this 20 EMA on the 4 hourly. We've obviously spiked through to the 200 EMA, so we will see some further upside for the short term, but I do not think that's going to last at all. I wouldn't be surprised if we spiked up for the final kiss of 1.40, and then we should be selling all the way down to 1.366 as well. In terms of second entries, what we'll be looking for is you're going to be looking for an entry as soon as we've closed above 1.39, and we've obviously sat underneath this level. So for GBP USD, start of the week, we're going to see a rise up to 1.40, and then I'm expecting pullbacks at the 1.40 as we do a final kiss down to 1.39. Once we've closed above 1.39, we've got a moving average crossover somewhere around the Monday, Tuesday afternoon. Then we should see an aggressive bearish candle to obviously take us to the 1.38 region. As soon as we get under 1.38, we can literally lock and load and know that our target's are 1.36660. Then we can go quite aggressive with this particular pair. So in terms of the trades that we're obviously looking at, anything that is XXX USD, so if you have a look here, so XXX USD, so if it's British pound USD, Aussie dollar, we expect all these pairs to go down just because we're going to see some dollar strength going into next week. Again, we've seen that with the Aussie after our push up. Quite frustrating. We could have actually had a third target on the Aussie. We should have just left the trade running, but by the by, we'll see that pullback for the Aussie, and then we should actually see some further downside. So very similar structure to the GBP USD. A push up, then further downside, then further downside from there. So that's definitely what we're looking for the Aussie dollar. We're looking at a push up at the open of the market up to 0.7780, and then we should be looking at executing sells around these levels. So I'm going to go through our entry price, and I'm going to pinpoint the prices on the screen right now, so then you guys can obviously have a look at these levels, and you can obviously take note of where you're going to be looking at potential entries around these particular zones. So if I just delete some of this noise that's currently on the screen, we'll take a quick look and see if we can pinpoint some price labels on these pairs. So we've got 0.7780 for the Aussie dollar. We'll be looking to do a sell around this region with a 30 pip stop loss. So 0.7820 with a take profit of, should We target 0.7650. So a nice solid 1 in 339 risk reward for this particular entry. Again, for you guys that are obviously on the full member zone, yes, we'll definitely send alerts out, but it's more important that you guys take notes of the entries on the watch list, so then if we miss an entry, you can still catch it because you know the zones that we're obviously looking for as well. So 0.7780 for the Aussie dollar. GBP CAD, very tempted at the open of today's market is to basically sell GBP CAD. Do I think that we'll see a final tap of 1.8330? Definitely worth the potential wait on this one, but for me, if I'm going to be taking any shorts on GBP CAD, it's only going to be a very small position, and I'm going to have my stop loss at 1.38005 as well. So just like we said last week, but we are going to see this pair fly. And you guys have seen this before. GBP CAD, this pair moves fast. When it goes, it goes. So this should be a nice, if we nail the entry for this, we'll see a nice quick win, and our accounts balances just boost up because this one is going to go quick. If we see a sharp sell-off on this pair, you are going to see a sell-off like you've never seen before as well. And again, we're targeting this 1.76 handle right there, and before we see any reversal sign. Again, looking at trading view, all you can see here is GBP high. Look at that, 20th, 9:30, first thing in the morning, high impact data, so that's red. Then again, 21st, again you've got high impact data again. Wednesday, Karma Day retails, but you've got Bank of England announcements again, high impact. And then again for the Canadian dollar, CPI data, inflation data, so again high impact. We should see a very sharp sell-off because we are at that crucial level for the Canadian dollar, and yeah, we are at a crucial level because we are floating around this bearish trend line as well. I hope that makes sense for everybody on our watch list. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the admin on the armchair trading floor. Definitely let's get these final price points put up on here. So GBP USD entries at 1.3990 or 1.340 for that final case. GBP CAD entries just on the market open, so entries are going to be at 1.8260. USD JPY, we're going to be looking at entries this week at around the 105.79 as well. And then finally USD CAD, we're going to be looking at two possibilities here. We're quite comfortable risking a small percentage of our account around the 1.3130 level, so 1.3130, or if that fails, we'll definitely be looking at sells at 1.3289 as well for USD CAD. So I'm just going to flip through so you guys can take note of this. USD JPY, buy at 105.79, stop loss at 105.41 with take profit at 107.40. GBP CAD, we are going to sell this pair at 1.8262 with stop loss at 1.83 with take profit. We are going to have to sit on this one for a while at 1.76. GBP USD entries at 1.3992 or to 1.3 to 1.40 with take profit 1 set at 1.39 with second entries just under the closure around this region. We're going to be selling this one all the way down to 1.36 now. The long-term pairs, the long-term trades that are obviously highlighted here is the next move, so we'll be looking at entries on any higher highs or higher lows depending on if it's an uptrend or a downtrend. However, this week's watch list is looking bearish, across the whole board, where we're obviously selling GBP USD, GBP CAD, we're selling Aussie dollar, we're selling USD CAD. The only one that's going to be positive is hopefully going to be USD JPY as well. Thank you very much for your time on this week's watch list. If you have any questions, please again message admin and we'll speak to you soon.